I was on Instagram the other day, and someone on their stories posted this article, and I thought it was pretty interesting because like I related to it. If you want to see who the blog post is, I'll put it down in the description below. You should check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's from a cellist called Marza Wilkes, and she's basically discussing that she has this fear of posting on social media. Her teacher had said that there was like a lot of mediocre performances out there, so she was afraid that maybe she wouldn't be good enough. She was also afraid for her students because anyone can post anything on the web. So there's a lot of materials out there where there's a lot of misinformation, or whatever's being posted generally comes from a genuine place, but they just didn't have the knowledge to know that it was incorrect information. She did, however, say that she enjoyed watching people post their practicing videos, because there's like a huge practice video trend going on. I don't know if you guys know, like hashtag 100 days of practicing. So I have a question for you guys, which is, do you also feel the same way? Do you have a fear of posting on social media? And if so, why?
For me, I don't think it would be a fear of posting on social media, but I think once I record, I'm judging myself first, and I'm like, oh no, I don't think it's good enough, they're gonna hate it, kind of thing. I kind of got over that by just posting, and I mean, like, not everything is gonna be my best performance, and then there will be some good material out of it, and it gets me to share music, which is our ultimate goal.
I totally love the fact that you said that the point of doing all of this is really ultimate goal is to share music. Especially with classical musicians, we have such a high like standard of perfection that we place upon ourselves and that we also live up to. We sometimes get lost in like everything must be perfect or else I can't post it.
For me, it's not so much that I think people will hate it. It's more that I don't think it's a good representation of my abilities. So that's why for me, I sometimes am a little more hesitant to upload something. Although I think I started to get rid of that fear just by doing more and posting works in progress, and even streaming my practice has changed my view. It doesn't have to be perfect for it to be worthy of being shared.
In terms of students looking at different performances and being influenced, I think it's similar to in school when they say find different resources from whether it's books, the internet, and now with the internet there's so many things you can look at, and there's a lot of fake things, there's a lot of good things, and you just have to know how to filter it out. Back in the day, like if you listen to recordings that are really old, you might notice that the interpretations vary so much more because they didn't have other people to be influenced off of. Sometimes you'll listen to them and you'll be like, wow, this is horrible. Do they not know how this piece sounds? But in a way, it's interesting because it kind of gives you the perspective of, hey, you know, I can play this differently than everyone else if I have an artistic reason for doing so.
You had mentioned that like students look up to the material that they receive on TikTok, on YouTube, on the socials and stuff, and that you have to learn how to filter out which is good and what is bad. But for someone who's, let's say, like they just got into classical music or they're just students, I imagine it to be quite difficult for them to be able to know like what's right from wrong.
In terms of sharing of misinformation, it's kind of tricky because almost anyone can become a piano teacher nowadays. I have colleagues who aren't pianists who are teaching piano. I think they can teach some basics like the keyboard geography, you know, the names of certain notes, the alphabetical names, and certain basics. But at a certain point, they need to study from a pianist who's actually studied for many years or have been playing for the last 5 years. I don't know what you can do about that, but it's a problem, I think.
It's one of those things where if you don't know what you're looking for and you're new, it's so hard to figure out like what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah, I remember in high school, in a piano lesson, my teacher pulls out their iPad and we're going through some listenings or whatever. She had played a couple listenings and, you know, she listens for the first 10, 20 seconds. Like, oh, no, not this one, not this one. And as a student, I couldn't understand, like, why? Like, you know, why not this one? Or why did you choose this one and not this one? For me, at the time, it sounded just fine. Now, maybe if I listened back to that same recording, it might be different. But at the time, it sounded fine. So I'm not... It's very hard for, you know, a student to filter out recordings. You know, it's something that comes with experience. It's also taste, your musical taste and your musical preferences. It is, you know, a subjective thing. It's not, this recording is better than this one, but there is like a standard, right? We all know that there's, you know, there's that line, and you usually want your students to listen to, you know, above that standard, right? Not all the stuff below. The only way of really learning or filtering out is just listening to lots of music, going to concerts, and just exposure.
Going back to the article itself, I had a little bit of a criticism or disagreement with the article in just the way that she talked about mediocrity. I think that's where the elitism of classical music comes from, that we look down on people who are not virtuosos or well trained. That's kind of toxic, and I think it's okay to have a wide range of level of experience and not feel like you have to be professional to post videos.
Yeah, like for example, even if someone isn't a professional musician, like they can totally just post a video of them playing piano or singing or dancing or, you know, anything, and they have the right to share that, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And so for people to say, oh, that's so dangerous for that person to post something online, have that out in the universe, it's ruining our genre. It's kind of a little bit extreme.
I don't think
It wouldn't ruin the genre. If anything, it'd bring attention to it. From a pedagogical standpoint, I think as teachers, you almost have to filter it for your student a little bit, because with a wider spectrum of playing and everyone posting, I think it's great. Because whenever you post, and I remember when I was younger, I posted a little bit, and I had so much positive feedback, and it motivated me to practice more, to work harder, and to continue working. So I think it's a great idea. From a pedagogical standpoint, yes, I think teachers need to filter and almost have students to aim for this interpretation or that, or stuff like that, because, you know, if everyone posts, well, if you're trying to be like this person or this person, sometimes you know, sometimes that's not always the goal, right? Everyone's at a different stage of learning.
I think it's the teacher's job to lead their students to the right resources. And I'm just thinking for different art forms, you know, people aren't saying, oh, unless you're a professional, don't post videos or display your art. You see amateur dance videos or any, you know, you have community theater, and they might put on a show. That doesn't take away from the art form itself. And I think we need to change that mindset.
I think in terms of trying to avoid all this like misinformation that might happen, is at the end of the day, your social media and all these people who are posting educational things on it, or even performance videos or their own personal tips just to share things, at the end of the day, you need to have a teacher with you, like a physical one beside you, because there's not only certain things that you can't learn online, but you need someone with that type of guidance too. And going back to that whole like elitism thing, I remember with Tiffany Poon, like everybody knows Tiffany Poon. She was posting a video of her practicing, and I think she got a comment from someone saying that he told her that she shouldn't be posting her videos of her practicing and making errors and stuff, because it would ruin her career, it would ruin like music in the same way that you guys had said those things. But her response I thought was really, really good, was that the reason why we have this type of high standard and elitism is because there's people who think that way, that you can't post anything unless it's perfection, which is strange because then it gets scrutinized against other things that people think is perfect, and then like nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that like we should do more of these things also because to show that we're human. It's very humanizing. Every concert pianist out there is going to make a big boo-boo sooner or later. And to hold, for the younger generation that's coming up, to hold them against such a standard where they think everything is perfection is in a way a little bit unhealthy.
We always see, you know, the final performance, and you don't see what goes into that. So, for example, listening to her mistakes, whereas someone who doesn't have experience might think, oh, well, that person's just talented. They just don't play with mistakes. I play with mistakes. And hearing her play with those mistakes, fix it, and then go on stage and be awesome, shows the whole progress.
Do you guys have any closing remarks before we go? I think that's all we have time for today.
Don't be mean.
Yeah, don't be mean.
Especially to yourself too. That's very important. That we gotta be kind
Yeah.
to your peers and also to yourself. Don't beat yourself over little mistakes here and there, and yeah, enjoy the process.
We hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. If you want to check out the blog post, you can check it down in the description below. I'm going to leave that down there. But we'd like to know what you think about posting online, whether it's you're practicing, whether your videos. Do you have the courage to do that? Is that something that you've always wanted to do? What are your thoughts about it? Let's form a very healthy discussion down in the comments below. We will see you again in our next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification, and you can also find us on Instagram. Bye! Okay, that's a wrap.